Kevin Martin had one of the strangest jump shots the NBA has ever seen. It was crooked, awkward, and looked broken beyond repair. Most players with that kind of form never even sniff professional basketball, let alone carve out a long career. And yet, Martin did more than survive, he thrived. He once scored 50 in a single game, averaged 20 points a night across multiple seasons, and outscored stars whose mechanics looked like they belonged in a textbook. His jumper may have been the punchline, but the results made him one of the league's most efficient scorers. The real mystery is how this unorthodox style managed to work for so long, and what sudden rule change completely derailed it. To understand Martin's rise and fall, we have to go back to where it all started. Kevin Dallas Martin Jr. grew up in the small town of Zanesville, Ohio, with fewer than 30,000 people. Like countless other kids in the 1990s, he spent nights glued to the television watching. Michael Jordan dismantled defenses in days outside, copying those moves on cracked concrete courts. But unlike the rest, Martin combined that obsession with a wiry 6 feet 7 inches frame and natural scoring instincts. His talents carried him to Western Carolina, a tiny Division I program in a town even smaller than Zanesville. That didn't matter to Martin. He had only one thing on his mind: the NBA, by the end of his junior year. He made it clear to his coaches that unless he had a guarantee of being drafted in the first round, he'd return for a senior season. When the Sacramento Kings promised to take him with the 26th overall pick in 2004, his dream became reality. But as soon as his name was called, skepticism followed. How could a skinny guard with a shot that looked like it belonged in a YMCA gym actually score against NBA defenses? His first season gave little reason for optimism. Buried on the bench behind veterans, Martin only saw extended minutes after backup guard Bobby Jackson went down with a wrist injury. When he finally broke out for 17 points, it wasn't the jumper that carried him. It was his athleticism, his quickness to the rim. Still, his stats were grim. Martin shot just 33% from the field and 20% from three. To critics, his strange mechanics weren't just ugly, they were doomed to fail. Sacramento left him off the playoff roster entirely, forcing him to watch from the sidelines as the Kings were bounced by Seattle. The following year, fate intervened. Starter Bonzi Wells suffered a groin injury, pushing Martin into a bigger role. With the minutes came confidence, and with confidence came production. He wasn't perfect, his jumper still rattled skeptics, but Martin had developed a trick that set him apart from his peers. Instead of fighting to make his shot look pretty, he leaned into its awkwardness, pairing it with a masterful ability to draw fouls. He'd use pump fakes, contort his body, and bait defenders into jumping, turning every mistake into 2 free throws. Ahead of his time, Martin was exploiting rules long before foul baiting. It became a dirty word associated with James Harden or Trae Young. By January 2006, Martin was averaging double figures, shooting efficiently, and getting to the line with ease. Against Orlando, he scored 22 points, half of them from free throws. Days later, he torched the Phoenix Suns by hitting 4 of 5 threes, leading the Kings in scoring despite barely touching the ball. He had proven that not only could he hang in the league, but he could also carry an offense. When Bonzi Wells returned, Martin kept producing. He's dropping 25 points even in limited minutes. His breakout came in the 2006 playoffs. Against the top-seeded San Antonio Spurs, Martin wasn't just a role player, he was a weapon. With Ron Artest suspended in Game 2, Martin's 26 points kept the Kings competitive. Later in the series, with the score tied and seconds remaining, Martin slashed to the rim and hit a game winner that stunned the Spurs and electrified Sacramento. Even though the Kings lost the series in 6, Martin had arrived. He wasn't just a novelty with a funny-looking shot. He was a starter, a scorer, and the future of the franchise. That future began the very next season when Bonzi Wells inexplicably turned down a long-term extension, leaving Martin as the unquestioned starter. Sacramento's new coach gave him a green light. Martin responded by averaging over 20 points per game while shooting nearly 40% from three. He had fully weaponized his bizarre mechanics, launching jumpers from his hip and still burying them at an elite rate. But his real superpower remained free throws. Martin mastered the art of contact, leading the league in makes at the stripe, rivaling big men who spent all night in the paint. Ironically, His career-high 40-point explosion in 2006 came during what players dubbed the basketball from hell. Then Commissioner David Stern had forced a switch to a new composite ball that players hated it, cut their hands, felt slippery, and changed the spin of shots. Most stars struggled with it. Martin dropped 40. That was the essence of his game. Strange, ugly, but undeniably effective. Unfortunately, Martin's brilliance was wasted on teams going nowhere. The Kings, once Western Conference royalty, had collapsed into dysfunction. Coaches came and went. Roster shuffles never worked. Martin kept scoring 48 points against Minnesota, 50 against Golden State, 45 against Indiana, but Sacramento kept losing. By 2010, the Maloof family, desperate for change, shipped Martin to Houston. With the Rockets, Martin's scoring flourished even more. He averaged over 23 points per game, still living at the free throw line. In one game against San Antonio, he scored 33 points while hitting all 14 of his free throws. Against his former Kings, he buried 39. For a while, it looked like Martin had found the perfect home. But the NBA was about to change in ways that directly attacked the foundation of his game. In 2011, the league cracked down on offensive players initiating contact to draw fouls. Suddenly, the very skill that made Martin special was deemed unethical. Calls that once sent him to the line 8 or 10 times a night were swallowed by referees. His free throw attempts were cut nearly in half. Without them, his scoring dropped and his efficiency suffered. To make matters worse, injuries piled up, shoulder problems, wrist fractures, and groin issues kept him sidelined for stretches. When the Thunder traded for him in the James Harden deal, Martin found himself in unfamiliar territory. No longer a first option, he became a bench scorer behind Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. To his credit, he adapted quickly, dropping 28 points in just his third game with Oklahoma City. He shot efficiently all season and helped the Thunder secure the West's top seed. But when Westbrook went down in the playoffs, the burden fell too heavy on Martin. Memphis locked him down, and Oklahoma City's title dreams vanished. After just 1 year, Martin decided he didn't want to be a role player. He left for Minnesota, eager to be a primary scorer again. Playing alongside Kevin Love, he put up numbers, but the Timberwolves remained irrelevant. Worse, Martin's body betrayed him. In 2014, he fractured his wrist in a game against the Knicks. He had still scored 37 points before checking out. It was the perfect snapshot of his career, gutsy, relentless, but unsustainable. By 2016, Martin was clinging to the league with San Antonio. Brought in to add scoring depth to a team chasing another title, but he was a shell of his former self, shooting just 35% and averaging 6 points per game. In the playoffs, he barely saw the floor. The same player who once terrified defenses with an offbeat shot and constant trips to the line faded into retirement with little fanfare. Kevin Martin's career is one of the NBA's great paradoxes. He had a shot that looked broken but worked like a machine. He drew fouls better than almost anyone, only for a rule change to gut his effectiveness overnight. He was too good to ignore, but played most of his career on teams too bad to matter. And perhaps fittingly, he was never one for the spotlight. He avoided social media, rarely gave interviews, and quietly disappeared from the league when his body and the rules finally caught up with him. So how do we remember Kevin Martin? Was he one of the most underrated scorers of his era, a pioneer of foul baiting, who played before the league embraced it? Could he have been even greater with a textbook jumper? Or was he just an empty stats player, lighting up box scores on losing teams? That's for you to decide. One thing is certain, Kevin Martin proved that sometimes beauty is overrated. Results matter more than form, and for nearly a decade, his results spoke louder than any critic ever could. What do you think? Was Kevin Martin a forgotten scoring machine who deserves more respect, or a player whose flaws ultimately defined his career? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on more stories from the hidden corners of basketball history.